There's a kind of myth that I was thinking about that it comes up so often, and there's real good data because of search engine data. We actually know that this is kind of this myth. There's this weird thing that happens because people get very cynical. They're like, oh, everyone's retreating to there. You hear this a lot with that guy, Sitch? He's one who'll say this, and it's like, that's not correct, Sitch. Because Tim Pool brought this up, that there is actually real studied information on this and real observable science on this, observable scientific data on this. So it was the right reads what would be considered the left. The left absolutely does not read the right. So people who are Democrats do not read Breitbart. To them, it's like a Nazi rag. Democrats do not read Zero Hedge. They do not read like a whole bunch of things, and these are all, if you look it up, because NewsGuard was a psyop, you end up finding out like NewsGuard says a lot of these sites that present things from the right-wing point of view are also, the American Thinker would not be considered a good resource when the American Thinker is very good writing. It has very good writing on it. Alex Jones's group, you never hear about them being sued for, defamation or being sued because they were inaccurate in their print reporting. I've never heard about them being sued. This would be everywhere if their print reporting were this horribly inaccurate stuff, but it's not. And it's not. They do a very good job in their print reporting, and also because a big part of it is aggregation. They aggregate and comment on something, so they use a source. That's very often what happens, like say with Revolver, where Revolver will cite bunches and bunches of sources, and from all over the spectrum. Note, the MAGA people are against Ukraine. Who do they keep having come up? Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. Somebody who is considered extremely far left. How did we know about him? Because we know. We're actually very, very smart and well-read people. We have normal jobs. We have normal, just not very wild and crazy. We're not going to, skydiving to a rave in Belize someplace or something. We're not going, I don't know when I'm going to get back to Bali, or whatever. All my homies are in Thailand right now. No, so we have these very normal lives, so we dedicate a lot of it to reading, and I call it the right-wing reading club, actually. That it's actually a really fun kind of thing with the right wing, because people read these like amazing fucking books, and it'll be like, oh blah blah, yeah, and oh no, so that's the, and I mean, it just, there's not enough hours in a lifetime. And what we found is a lot of people who, when we look into what is the fourth turning, that's something that was being cited by libertarians much more than anybody, cited by libertarians much more than it was being cited by any kind of Democrats or progressives or the left wing or anything like that. That's our bag. And it popped up in libertarian circles. They were the ones who got his book sold. And now it's a discussion, now it's years old. It's years and years old. I mean, there were even people like Michael Malice that he didn't know up until the last few years about the fourth turning. And those theories about cycles of the way that societies rise and fall. And so there's this myth that the right is just these poorly read ignoramuses. A long time ago, a guy who was a defector from the Aryan nations, because his son was born with a congenital deformity, that he was like, yeah, I left because they told me, if the new order were to happen, this, your son would have to go, and that was it. He was out, and he wasn't a violent guy. He was just a very good recruiter, and he recruited the guy who bombed the NAACP in Tacoma. And so I was hearing his speech after his defection and everything. And one of the things that he said even back then and he offered lots of visual evidence, lots of kind of stuff of documents and things that he still had. But he got into this whole thing he goes, these people aren't stupid. Now, he had this whole thing of they're ignorant. But the thing is that a big part of it is he was into the end that was like the mystical race realism prior to the internet. What's happened since the internet is now I'm going to do another video right after this. What is now understood about somebody's genetic inheritance and a wide variety of characteristics and behaviors. Now we know tremendous amounts more about this. And the fact that nobody knows how much is known, that the average I love science person doesn't get this, is terrifying to those of us who know the ramifications and already foresee them. I'll get into this in a second once I get a nice cup of joe.